I feel one of the most effective things that our members across Montana did to help stop the Article V convention effort was really reaching out to their state legislators before the session. That advanced notice before the legislative session has begun means they're not as busy, they have more time to talk, more time to listen and even read our materials. And so having that advanced notice, our members went out to their legislators, let them know this is one of my top concerns that we're facing in this legislative session. Please look over this material, let me know what you think of it. The John Birch Society produces a lot of different tools that are very valuable. In some cases, just a brief pamphlet is all that's really appropriate. I think it really needs to be geared towards the attention span, the level of interest of the person. That if someone really wants to dig deeper, we have full reprint articles from the New American that they can read in much greater depth. But oftentimes just a little pamphlet is all that's needed to at least pique their curiosity, get some interest in there is another side to this other than just those that are selling the idea. And so I usually stage things in that way as a first impression, first introduction. Let's start with something very small, like a pamphlet, a brochure, or something like that. And then if you have some interest, let's read deeper. Let's get into the various articles. And we've had many very good articles on the topic. But I always hold the articles back for those that will take the time to read. With the Convention of States hearing in Montana, it really exposed certain things that I think turned the rest of the committee against the Convention of States. Mark Meckler was there, and I could tell he felt very disappointed in how things turned out. Even before the committee had voted, I think he could see that it wasn't going his direction. And part of that was definitely the questions and answers that happened. But in addition to that, one of the things that I had pointed out that I could tell some of the legislators latched onto was that the Convention of States application is wide open. In fact, one of the things that was pointed out by some of the legislators after I testified was, you've written a very broadly worded application, much more so than many of the others. Well, yes, that's true, they answered. Why is it so broad? Why is it so wide open? And they began to see that, as I point out in some of my lectures, when you're calling for a convention to establish limits to the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, we already have that in the Constitution, so we're proposing to establish new limits. And one of the things that was pointed out, and I think this really caught their attention, was if we have limits to the power and jurisdiction and we're establishing new ones, those could be higher or lower than the current limits. And I think that's part of what really helped it to be defeated, was that, wow, this convention really could go anywhere, even following the wording of their application. It doesn't have to be a runaway convention to expand the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. So between that and just, well, it didn't hurt that Mark Meckler was unfamiliar with a lot of the history of Article V, and that came out in this session as well, to his embarrassment.